Just recently, a kind of mini teaser dropped, and at first glance, it doesn't seem to point to anything specific, but if you look closer, there are definitely a few hidden hints. So first, let's take a listen to what Kane's actually saying.
It's time, Zooble.
What the hell are you talking about?
For our one-on-one buddy comedy adventure! You're so right, Zooble. We should do this more often. Zooble, incoming wall!
Not only do we instantly see Zooble in some kind of supercar role, but Kane also throws in that it's their personal adventure. So yeah, this might actually be a little teaser that we'll see Zooble back in action in future episodes, maybe even in episode 5, just like in episode 4. On top of that, the first thing Kane says is, "It's time, Zooble." And considering that the digital circus is showing signs of life again on Glitch's socials, it really feels like they're hinting at the long-awaited drop of episode 5. I'm pretty sure there won't be any races in this one though. Even though episode 5 is going to be sport-themed, everyone's known for a while now it's about baseball. Oh, and Gooseworx also threw in a little teaser for the upcoming episode. First off, she posted, "To be totally honest, the real reason I say Digital Circus isn't a kids show is because I know the second this show crosses some kind of line, a whole bunch of weirdos are going to come out and say, how could you expose children to these evil ideas and concepts?" And then she added, "While we're on the topic, I should probably give a disclaimer that episode 5 was written back in 2023. From the looks of it, episode 5 might get pretty brutal, and honestly, it could leave a lot of fans totally shocked. All we can do now is wait and see if Goose was actually being real with us. But hey, since the hype's already in full swing, let me break down what we might see in episode 5. If you want to help support this channel during these wild times, watch the vid till the end and drop your thoughts in the comments. Alright, let's get into it. Of course, we're going to talk about everything related to episode 5, break down all the latest news and leaks, and I'll explain why episode 5 is dropping way sooner than most people expect. But in the second half of this video, I'm going to reveal a secret about the amazing digital circus that's straight up terrifying. Recently, a super popular animator, Zamination, posted something that caught everyone's attention. Exciting news! Zamination is teaming up with Glitch Prod to creatively direct their marketing campaigns. Huge thanks to the Glitch team for this opportunity. And don't worry, Zamination videos aren't slowing down. Big things are coming soon, so stay tuned. This partnership is a massive win for Glitch. Even with the amazing digital circus already being insanely popular, having people like Zamination involved helps keep the hype alive, and might even push it to the next level. Also, I've noticed a huge increase in official merch for the amazing digital circus lately, which is awesome. Not just because fans get to own a piece of the universe, but because it actually helps speed up production and improve the quality of new episodes. Besides that, Glitch recently dropped a pretty unusual and funny post. While it definitely got a few laughs, it's also another small step toward even bigger news. But we'll get to that in a bit. Before we jump into the hottest updates, let's take a moment to talk about a certain post from Gooseworx, the one where she shared her reaction to episode 8. And honestly, if even Kane reacted like that, just imagine what it's going to do to us. But on a more serious note, this actually brings back an old leak where Goose straight up said that episode 5 is going to be the calm before the storm, and starting with episode 6, it's going to be pure chaos, with the peak of that madness likely happening in episode 8. Now, let's talk about something that a lot of people have seen, but I don't think most truly caught what was hidden beneath the surface. I'm talking about the new TADC ad in Japan. While it mostly served as a retrospective of everything that's happened so far, there was also something new, and that something might just be a glimpse into what we're about to see in the next episode. First off, Pomni still hasn't let go of the idea that there's a way to escape the digital circus, and as usual, Jax is messing with her in his classic style. Then, a small fight breaks out, which is a perfect example of the chaos Goose was talking about in that old post. We might actually see real conflict between the members of the digital circus, and this could be the beginning of the end, something that Kaufmo already symbolized back in the pilot episode. In the final scene of this ad, we see an abstracted monster, and there's a chance that it's Kaufmo himself. Just the sight of it completely shuts down both Pomni and Jax, almost as if it's warning them. If things keep going this way, they're all doomed to the same fate. Alright, but that's just one side of this ad. But what if that ain't Kaufmo? What if it's somebody else? And if that's the case, then how are we even supposed to interpret this whole scene? We're definitely going to talk about it today, but first, there are still a few loose ends we gotta tie up. Right after this ad dropped, we almost immediately got another one. It's 3 times shorter, but somehow it feels like it's packed with way more important details. Just like in the first ad, it starts off with Pomni looking for a way out, and ends with that same abstracted monster. But in between, we get a shot of our favorite troublemaker, Jax, holding a bunch of explosives. At first glance, this might seem like just another random gag, but it's actually way deeper than that. We all remember the pilot and episode 2, right? That's where they really established Jax as this mischievous, sarcastic dude who's all about pranks and messing with people. But, starting from that same second episode, we see his usual antics slowly getting shut down by the other residents of the digital circus.
I'm so unbelievably disappointed right now.
Well, maybe there'll be blood, death, and violence in the next adventure.
Ha 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 ha, how wholesome.
And that same thing kept going in episode 3.
What happened up here?
Don't worry about that.
Well, episode 4 turned out to be the peak of this storyline.
All right, I'm clocking out. This wasn't fun at all. See you all later.
And now we're getting to the real juicy stuff. Even though Goose posted a list of characters tied to specific episodes less than a year ago, we found out in December that episodes 5 and 6 are loosely divided between Jax and Regatha, and both characters will be equally explored in these episodes. This means that in episode 5, we're going to see something that ties back to the explosives in Jax's hands. And even if episode 5 doesn't end up being Jax's return to the chaotic world he's used to, we'll definitely be seeing the first steps in that direction. I don't think I need to repeat for the millionth time that the new location will definitely be the baseball stadium we got teased about over a year ago, and that episode 5 will be sports themed, which the beginning of episode 4 basically screamed at us. Also, we can expect Regatha to be making some serious moves to regain the respect and trust of the others, especially considering that Gangle's drawing at the end of episode 4. And of course, I promised to talk about the release date. I'm not going to give you an exact date, but all I know is that it's going to be some Friday. The important point about the release date is that we've been seeing more and more of the digital circus lately. New partnerships, a massive marketing campaign, merch drops, and heck, even the ads. All of this is practically screaming that the new episode is right on the final stretch of completion. I can definitely confirm that nothing is going to happen in March, but it seems like the most optimal time frame will be around the 2nd or 3rd week of April. And now, let me prove it to you. Remember summer 2024? At the end of July, we were already seeing something similar when they massively introduced merch, and just 2 months later, we got episode 3. However, the key difference back then was that, alongside that, Glitch was developing the final episode of Murder Drones, which was their top priority at the time. Now though, the only priority is Digital Circus, and if back then the gap between all that merch hype and the release of the new episode was about 2 months, now that time could be cut down to 1 to 1.5 months. That means the new episode could drop somewhere around April 18th or 25th. I also promised to share another theory about the abstracted monster and who it could be. But before that, let me point out that Gummy Goo has been popping up a lot lately in the context of the TADC universe. And even though I don't believe he could become a main character in the Digital Circus tent, the sheer amount of attention surrounding him can't be ignored. It really makes you think he's definitely going to appear as a one-episode character, which means he's got to replace someone. Considering we've already seen Kaufmo in that so-called basement, it's pretty unlikely he could have escaped from there, especially with any kind of logic. But this monster is clearly on the circus tent's grounds, which led me to think that maybe one of the already familiar characters could follow Kaufmo's fate and turn into an abstracted monster. Jax is one of the most interesting characters in the amazing Digital Circus, and in this video, we're gonna break him down based on everything we've seen so far and how it all shaped his actions in the upcoming episodes. While his sarcasm and bullying were initially introduced in the pilot episode, subsequent episodes have gradually revealed deeper layers to his personality, leading to significant developments. We won't delve deeply into episode 2, as the events there are already well trodden. Other than reinforcing Jax's apparent inclination towards cruelty, it didn't provide much new insight. However, episodes 3 and 4 gave us a much clearer understanding of his character and set the stage for what's to come in episode 5. Although episode 5 is officially the Regatha episode, recent updates indicate it will equally focus on Jax. If we look at the overall arc of Jax's character development, it's clear that episodes 5 and 6 promise to be intense, especially for him. Let's begin by analyzing Jax's character evolution as seen in episode 3. Pay attention to how Regatha is really understanding about Pomni's fear and problems. Meanwhile, Jax hears all of this and, once again, takes an already bad situation and makes it really terrible.
I'm not really a fan of horror, and I don't really handle jump scares that well.
Come on, that wasn't even scary. What? You scared of the vacuum cleaner too?
Hey, be nice to her. She's had a rough couple of days.
Her and everyone else. Right, Gangle?
Before we move on, let's take a moment to remember what Zubul said about Jax during the therapy session.
Jax just likes to fight with everybody.
And while Zubul's words might seem obvious, after all, who better than her to know how annoying Jax can be?
If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Ooh, a new AI. You don't want to mess with the new AI, Zuby?
Yeah, no.
They still perfectly capture the mood of how everyone in the digital circus feels about him. The third episode just confirms it even more. Back in the second episode, we already saw that Jax really thrives on violence and chaos.
Well, maybe there'll be blood, death, and violence in the next adventure.
Ha 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 ha, how wholesome.
But when Jax decided to stir up chaos in Mildenhall Manor, that was just too much. Everyone was already freaked out and unsure of what to expect from this creepy place. And here comes Jax, adding even more trouble just for his own fun.
Jax!
What? I thought we were supposed to capture all the ghosts.
Which door should we choose?
Not sure. Let's try this out.
Aww.
Oh, that's the scary door.
Remembering everything Jax did during the adventures,
I happen to know a way into the kingdom walls, if you'd be willing to help us out in return.
somehow Ragatha and Gangle managed to tie him up so he couldn't cause any more harm in the manor. It's doubtful they did it on their own, and it's more likely that Martha Mildenhall helped them out during the conversation, where we saw just how frustrated Jax can get when he's restricted. And that's just a small part of what this scene reveals about Jax. After you watch it, I'll tell you something that many people might have missed.
Always having the silliest priorities.
Don't I know it?
If your friends see him, I only hope he doesn't bore them to death with his endless monologues. That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy. Feel free to visit anytime.
Definitely!
Congratulations, my little ironclad waffle cones! You've taken the pacifist route, and you should be proud of what good people you are! Unfortunately, we still need to wait until your other teammates finish their adventure before I can grant you permission to leave.
I wonder how long that'll be.
Jax was really unhappy from the moment he got tied up, and his return to the digital circus wasn't as cheerful as in the previous episode.
Don't ever call us that again.
When Kane said they couldn't go back to the digital circus without Pomni and Kinger, Jax's frustration only grew. It's like he just doesn't get why he has to wait for the others or why anyone's telling him what to do. Pomni and Kinger's adventure went on for about 5 minutes, and since there were almost no cuts, that means about 7 to 10 minutes passed in the digital circus. And during that time, Jax's expression just got more and more annoyed. Jax couldn't care less about how the others' adventure went, because his main issue at that moment was that he didn't get to mess with anyone or have any fun with his chaos in the new adventure. Plus, Ragatha's words about how everyone is worried about Pomni didn't sit well with Jax at all. He made it clear that he doesn't care how anyone feels. Also, the final scene is definitely worth mentioning.
So what was it like being stuck with the nutcase?
It wasn't that bad, actually.
Approaching Pomni with his usual sarcasm, Jax was definitely expecting a response like, "That was just awful, he's really a nutcase," or "What's the point of talking to him when he doesn't get anything? He almost destroyed me." But when he got a positive response instead, Jax realized that his jokes and teasing weren't landing like they used to, and that really upset him. We've sorted out how much Jax changed in episode 3. Now it's important to note the key events of Jax in episode 4. For the first time, we see Jax genuinely not wanting to cause any harm to Gangle. This really caught me off guard, especially considering all the previous episodes and the countless situations involving not just Gangle, but the other characters too. The old Jax would have just laughed it off and said something like, "Oh well, you're not mad, are you?" Not that I care. But from the very first seconds of this episode, we're shown that Jax has started to change for the better. And now it's time for the most epic and mind-blowing part, Spudsy's adventure itself. Right from Jax's very first scene, his usual confidence seemed shaken, and it became clear that something big was about to happen with him. Even though the start of the new adventure seemed pretty ordinary for Jax, what happened next completely shook him to the core. Just look at how utterly confused he is. He can't even find the words to respond. It feels like Jax's world literally fell apart in that moment. And when Gangle announced his list of tasks, it became crystal clear to everyone, including Jax himself, that this episode would showcase a sort of revenge, something Gangle practically admitted outright. This is further confirmed in the following scene.
Oh, I hate this guy.
Never say you hate the customer while the customer is still here. Oh, we wait until after hours for that?
Looking at Jax's unhappy, no, downright distressed expression in the moment he realized this was just the beginning of a nightmare bound to have irreversible consequences for his mental health. Remember the old Jax, who never cared about anyone's approval or support? Now he's actually approaching Zooble, someone he doesn't even have the best relationship with, to try and convince her to ditch work too. This scene speaks volumes about how much Jax has changed. It's as if all his confidence has evaporated, leaving behind someone who might even be afraid of Gangle. Sounds ridiculous, right? But that's the reality Jax is stuck in, a reality that's slowly driving him insane and pushing him further into a depressive state. The fact that time seems to drag on infinitely longer than Jax would like only makes things worse. Even though he's trying to maintain his trademark, unshakable demeanor, it's glaringly obvious that the spark we're used to seeing in him is fading, bit by bit. For the first time, Jax genuinely looks scared, truly terrified by everything happening around him. He's confused by what's going on with him, and shaken by the thought of what Gangle might come up with now that she has more power than usual. He's frightened and undeniably upset about this whole adventure. And yet, it's not even over. By this point, Jax already realizes that things are only going to get worse, and unfortunately for him, he's completely right. All of this completely unravels Jax, and if we compare how he used to get angry versus how it manifests now, we can confidently add another piece of evidence to our growing case for Jax's broken mental state. He's no longer able to control his emotions, and it's heartbreaking to witness. The ultimate proof of his shattered psyche, and the looming possibility of a full-blown depression, is found in one of the final scenes featuring him. It's hard to believe that Jax is now talking to Pomni like this, especially given how he first met her. Even Pomni seems surprised by this sudden turn of events. Just look at how relieved Jax is to finally be done with that awful shift, but then something strange happens.
All right, I'm clocking out. This wasn't fun at all. See you all later.
You've really captured the essence of Jax's transformation in this episode. Seeing him as a lost and insecure character, grappling with the weight of his past actions and fearing retribution, definitely added a new layer to his persona. It's clear that while we didn't fully witness a depression in this episode, the foundation for it was laid. Now we've fully understood how Jax's character has developed throughout the episodes, and it's time to discuss what might be in store for this amusing purple rabbit in the upcoming episodes. As I mentioned earlier, episodes 5 and 6 will focus equally on Jax and Regatha, and it's highly likely that their story arcs will develop together, which makes sense given their apparent connection. Judging by how Jax has gradually become a more well-rounded character, episode 5 is very likely to continue this trend. I'm not going to claim that Jax will get worse, sink into depression, or, even less likely, turn into an abstracted monster just for the sake of extra views. I can assure you that nothing like that will happen. However, it is a fact that Jax will become calmer, and it will be far more interesting to follow his development in episode 5. As for what will happen to him in episode 6, I can't say for sure, but given that episode 5 is described as the calm before the storm, it's quite possible that episode 6 will completely change our perception of not only Jax and Regatha, but also some other characters.